Now we're rolling. Damage Plan MMA podcast. I'm Jason. As always, my co-host, Mr. Zack Partridge, in the house, doing something a little different today with our fighter spotlights. We are welcoming Miss Marci Simons to the podcast. Did I say that right? It's Simons, right?
You did, Simons.
Yes, I nailed it. I nailed it. Nailed it. We are not actually talking about fights today. We are talking about a jiu-jitsu tournament that is happening June 25th at the Maverick Center with the Proving Grounds Invitational. So, Marci, you'll be competing in this tournament. Tell us a little bit about.
Competing. It's my second time competing in a Proving Grounds Invitational. So I did it in 2019. There was a blue belt tournament. Yep. I believe I was a blue belt at the time. Blue belt tournament. So I competed there. It was a little bit bigger brackets. There were 16 of us. I didn't know half as much as I do now, especially about leg locks. So I feel like my game has progressed a lot in the last 3 years. So I'm excited to get out there. I'm probably, I would guess I'm the oldest competitor. I'm 46. So
okay. That's not old, Marci, because I'm 46 too. We're young.
Maybe no just comparatively rest the people in my bracket. Amber Petty, she might be close to me in age. I don't know how close, but I've known most of the people that will be in the bracket forever. So I think one thing great about this particular time is that everybody's from Utah. So it's really exciting that Mio put this together for us, because as women in Utah, every time we show up to compete at a local tournament, it's really tough even to get matches. Jiu-jitsu has grown so much in Salt Lake, but even so, like, not everybody signs up for every tournament. They might have other things going on. They might not want to compete that time. And so for a female, even to get 3 matches is great. And so with this, I'm guaranteed 3 matches, and even better, there's a cash prize. So the winner gets $800.
Yeah. So since you know everybody, we're not going to get any smack talk, right?
Probably not.
Dang it.
I think they're all so good. I am really glad. Typically, Lauren Chadester, I think she might be on your podcast coming up. But her and I have been in the same bracket like ever since forever. Like, we were blue belts, and luckily she's in a weight class above me this time. So now we're actually teammates. We both started on opposite teams, but now we're both at Unified. And so I'm glad I don't have to compete against her this time. Helen is going to be our referee, and Helen's brutal. Like, she's so badass. She's a brown belt. So I'm also glad Helen's not in it, because it's not really by belt. It could be any belt level, but I'm glad she's repping. That'll be awesome. The other person I am super glad is not in the bracket is Shannon O'Grady, and she's going to be doing the commentary.
Oh, nice.
So it's like many of my longtime like female competitors that have either trained with me or we've competed against each other. Like, we're all there. So I don't know how much smack talk you'll see. You might see like a lot of love and a lot of like super supportive women in jiu-jitsu.
That's awesome.
That'll be good. Marci, how long have you trained in jiu-jitsu?
So I've trained since 2014.
Okay. And what got you into jiu-jitsu?
So I've been working in the fitness industry since 2009, and I was teaching at Title Boxing, and I was teaching there for a while, and I'm like, this is total bullshit. Like, all these guys would come in and be like, yes, like killing it on the bags and thinking that they're getting like so good at boxing. And I'm like, I didn't know how to box, but I knew that was not real boxing, right? So I knew a guy who was a combatives instructor in the Army. His name was Nick Savis. And I asked him, like, can you teach me some boxing so that I don't feel like such a fake, like up there on the bag? Like, you don't really need boxing for fitness boxing. So I started training with him a little bit, and we did some boxing sessions. And then one day I showed up to train, and he was like, today we're doing jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I'd never heard the word jiu-jitsu once in my life. Had no idea what it was. And of course, like, I did terrible. Like, you don't know any skills. You've learned 0 drills. And he's like, let's just do it.
So you're Jason.
Yeah, you're me.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that was awesome. And it was so fun. And it took me maybe about a year, but it was always in the back of my mind. Like, that was awesome. I really want to do that. And so finally I started looking into gyms and I signed up at Absolute. And it's probably good that I'm cheap because I paid for like the whole like year membership or however long it was, so that you can get like a really like good rate on your monthly price. And I
Yeah.
put all of it ahead of time.
It locks you in.
Yeah.
Locks you
So
in. Yeah.
I just started and I was terrified, even though I was excited and I wanted to do it for like the first 6 months. I would drive up into the parking lot and I would get like so anxious. And then we'd start like drilling. And as the class would come to an end, Absolute is not a place that you can either choose to roll or not roll. Like you are staying on the mat and you're getting in like 30 minutes of rounds. And if you didn't, Handley would yell at you or Pedro. And so I had to roll. I would get so anxious as that like class time ended and I knew it was time to roll. But maybe after about 6 to 9 months, I was like, okay, I got this. I can totally like do this.
You just,
Competing is terrifying.
I dread when Pedro says water mouthpiece fight time. It's like, damn, I'm going to get choked out for the next 30 minutes.
That's funny.
So I was there about 4 years and then I switched over to Unified.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when these are no gi brackets, do you prefer no gi to gi, or what do you train in more?
Usually I go through periods of like, okay, I like no gi over gi, but I'd say for the last year, definitely I prefer no gi. I like the fact that you have a little bit less control over people. Just the submissions, you can move through like a series a lot more quickly.
Yeah. It's a different. I was actually doing some training this morning with a police officer that's trying to get some more jiu-jitsu work in, and we were just explaining the difference of no gi and gi. It's like gi is just slower and more methodical, and grips, and you have all these things. But no gi, it's like everything's just so slick. It's like
it's slick. You can be trickier. There's a lot more leg game. I'm still a purple belt, and the IBJJF Salt Lake Open is coming up, and I'm actually a little disappointed that like half my submissions are they're not in the rule set. So I can't do like a heel hook or a knee bar. I don't think slicers are even allowed. There's just a million things. And what I'm excited about this tournament, especially, you don't even have to think about like, oh, I have to pass or I have to like get mount. There's no thinking about points. Like your brain is like just completely free to do whatever comes naturally. It's really freeing as an athlete just to like say, okay, it's time to go, just go. Like anything that comes to you, as long as you can submit them, it's all good.
What's your go-to submission?
I'm really good at knee bars, and lately just anything from a Kimura sequence.
Ooh, okay then. Awesome. So, Marci, how do people purchase tickets from you?
There should be a link. I've been putting it in my Instagram story. They can go to the Fierce Fighting website, and then all the fighters. Oh, there's also a link at the bottom of this podcast. But if they want to specifically give me credit, I mean, any athlete can get credit. They just need to click on my face when they purchase the tickets.
Awesome. Well, Marci, it was great to have you on for a second to chat about it. We look forward to watching you ladies compete June 25th at the Maverick Center. This is the first time that we've had something like this in Utah, to have this competition inside the cage.
I know.
So we look forward to seeing you. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to? Anybody want to say thank you to?
Mio Strong has been my longtime training partner, and she has done so much for women in jiu-jitsu in Utah. And she's the one putting on the Proving Grounds Invitational portion of this fight. So I just want to thank her.
Awesome. Well, we will see you guys June 25th. Don't forget, if you want to support Marci, go to fiercefightingchampionship.com. Be sure to click on her picture. If you can't make it, there is a pay-per-view link too, so you can watch it on pay-per-view. Marci, we'll let you go. We'll see you June 25th. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.